Good afternoon, Ms. Jikela.
Good afternoon, CJ.
Are you comfortable?
Yes, I am.
right.
Thank you for asking.
Okay. You come from my hometown, Mthatha.
Yes, CJ.
You were born there.
I was born and bred there, and
you
also worked a little bit at Tata Magistrates Court as a state prosecutor.
yes, and you also obtained your legal qualifications there
Correct, CJ.
at the University of Transkei.
Yes,
A BURIS and LLB.
that's correct, CJ.
Okay. You were not in one of my law classes, were you?
CJ, I did not want to say this, but I was one
Which
of your
one?
students in the interpretation of statutes.
Oh my goodness. I hope I did not suck as a teacher.
No,
did you enjoy
didn't.
my classes? Be
No, you
careful how you
didn't.
answer that question.
You didn't, CJ, because I passed that course.
All right. I was very young then. As you've already mentioned, you worked for a spell as a prosecutor in the magistrates court. That was just over 4 years.
Just over 4 years, CJ.
Then you decided to move to KZN.
Then I decided to do pupillage at what was then known as the Transkei Bar.
Or you did it there?
I did it there, yes,
all right.
CJ.
Was your
My mentor?
They are not called masters now. Your mentor?
My mentor was the late Advocate Jikela.
So you started practicing as an advocate at the Durban Bar in 2005?
That's correct, CJ.
Okay, so how many years have you been counsel?
CJ, it's about 19 years now.
19 years, it's a long time. And you have done many things in the interim. You have acted as a magistrate for 6 months at the regional court in Durban.
That's correct, CJ.
You have sat in, well, you've been a panel member in a few boards, including the Financial Services Tribunal and the Financial Intelligence Center Appeal Board.
Yes, CJ.
And for how long? From 21 until I see your stints in those ones ended just at the end of September.
At the end of September, yes, CJ.
What exactly did you do there as a panelist?
Well, briefly, CJ, we dealt with the applications for reconsideration of decisions that would be taken by the decision makers, and that would be your ombudsman, that would be the financial service providers like the banks and the insurance companies, and we also dealt with the appeals.
So when you started acting, you had some quasi-judicial skills, acting as a judge, I mean.
Well, if my memory serves me well, CJ, the appointment to the tribunal, it came after I had started acting. I started acting in 2018.
Yes. You acted both in the Eastern Cape and in KwaZulu-Natal.
That is correct, CJ.
When and for how long in each division?
Well, I do not know. I have not separated my acting stints, CJ.
Okay, well, I'll help you. Your CV says you acted in KwaZulu-Natal for a session. Well, I don't know if it was a full session in 2018, November, between November and December.
CJ, are you looking at my schedule of acting stints?
Oh, you have it?
I have a schedule.
All right,
of acting stints.
Can you help me figure that out? I'm trying to determine exactly how long it is that you have acted.
Yes, okay. Find it.
I counted just over 10 months. I'm not sure if it's correct.
It should be Annexure C.
It's
page 39.
I have it at page 23 of
Of your
of the bundle, yeah.
Yes. So basically, CJ, when I submitted the application, this application, I had 42 weeks of acting. The very first acting stint was in Durban for 5 weeks. It was from the 12th of November to 14th December 2018.
All right.
And then I went to Peter Maritzburg, that was 2019, June 2019. So what I've done, CJ, I've tried to avail myself for acting each year, except for 2023. And then recently at Durban High Court for a full term, which started on 15 April until 21 June. But then after I had submitted my application, I had about 2 weeks of finalizing my part head. I have a criminal part head. So I think I have about 44 weeks of acting.
All right. And what kind of cases did you sit in during these stints? Was it the whole range?
The whole range, CJ, but mostly in the civil court and in motion court. I've done civil trials, I've done opposed applications, I've conducted motion court proceedings, I have sat in the criminal court, I've sat in civil appeals, criminal appeals, I have sat with the full bench. I have done reviews, in-chamber reviews, the whole works.
All right. Well, what kind of criminal work, appeals or trials?
Criminal appeals and trials, CJ.
How many trials?
I have I've completed 2 criminal trials. I am now busy with the 3rd criminal trial, which is the one part head that is reflected in my application.
All right. And the 3 judgments you listed as reserved from May, what is their status?
They have all been handed down, CJ.
All right.
I have the dates on which they were handed down. I don't know if CJ would want me to.
No, that's not necessary. You would still fall within the 6 months.
Yes.
How many judgments did you get to write during your acting stints?
I've counted, CJ, about 50 judgments since I started acting. 50 since 2018.
Any of them reported?
No, CJ.
No. What kind of a practice have you been running? What kind of work do you do?
Basically, CJ, my practice survives on government work. I get more instructions from the state attorney, and I have a few private clients. Recently, since I've taken silk, I've been doing a lot of arbitrations. I've chaired arbitrations as well. But with the general state attorney work, I do a lot of labor court matters, land court matters, a lot of civil trials and motion court appearances. I have not been fortunate enough to receive instructions to attend to commercial matters. In my years of practice, I've only had the opportunity of being led by senior counsel on 2 tax matters. That was right at the beginning of my career. So that's basically the nature of my practice, CJ.
Yes. You are senior counsel?
Yes, I am.
Since
CJ.
when?
Since 2021. It's my 4th year now as senior counsel.
You list, well, and the professional bodies as well vouch for you. You've been involved in a number of mentorship programs. You mentor young practitioners at the bar.
That's correct, CJ.
And you do a significant amount of pro bono work as well?
I would say significant in the sense that, CJ, it's not the one that is registered on the pro bono register of advocates, but it's the kind of pro bono work that I would get when I visit home at Mtata. My mom would have her friends lined up to give me or for me to give to attend to their problems. I've had the benefit of assisting ladies who were selling chickens at on the side of the road at near Mandela Park at Mtata, where their chickens, their livestock was taken by the metropolis because they did not have permits to trade. So those are the kind of work, pro bono work that I do. It's not the kind that is registered. It would be pro bono work where I assist a security guard at my building who has a labor case, who has a dispute with the employer. So that's the kind of pro bono work that I've been attending to, CJ.
Yes. Well, I'm sure you speak for a whole lot of us. Not anymore now for me, but we've had to assist from church disputes,
Yes.
the sub-headman.
That's the kind of work, CJ.
You've been a member of the Advocates for Transformation since 2005.
That's correct, CJ.
And you chair it now.
Well, my period in office ended on the 19th of September this year. So I've been the chair of Advocates for Transformation in the KwaZulu-Natal region for 2 years.
All right. I'll stop here and hand you over to JP Boyodlot for further interrogation.
Thank you. Thank you, CJ.
Thank you, CJ. Good afternoon, Advocate Jikela SC.
Good morning, JP.
Afternoon.
I beg your pardon. Good afternoon, JP.
I understand. I must say, I still feel elated even this day when I come across a senior counsel who is a woman, particularly an African. So you've done us proud as the women of this country.
Thank you, JP.
And might I say in KZ, and I think you are the third African senior counsel from now Judge Norman, then I'm not sure between you and Advocate Kuzayo who started.
That's correct, CJ.
I received that prophecy of CJ, but it's JP for now.
JP, thank you so much. Before Judge Norman was elevated to the bench, it was her on top, and then it would be Advocate Kuzwayo and myself. But now my senior in terms of African female silks is Advocate Nomusa Kuzwayo.
Yes. And I was touched by your gesture last year when I started office, yourself as the chairperson of the Advocates for Transformation, and Advocate Mahabir SC, another woman who was chairing the GCP. You ensured that on the very first day you came to my office and said you were there for me, and in fact, you walked the talk from that day.
Yes, JP, we were driven. We had one mandate, and that was to lead the KZN bar. Advocate Mahabir was the chairman of the bar, elected by AFT. And at the time, I was the chair of AFT. So we both had an obligation of leading together the bar. So that was what was driving us at the time.
The only thing you did not do was to agree to my invite for you to act.
That's correct, JP, because at the time I thought I should focus all my energies in AFT and the leadership of the bar, supporting our chairperson, who was the first African, I beg your pardon, who was the first Black woman to lead our bar. So I felt that let me for once be selfish and focus on that responsibility alone.
Yes. And I see from your CV, you chair the Transformation Committee of the GCB.
Of the KZN advocates, of my bar, of the KwaZulu-Natal bar.
What does that entail? What do you focus on?
Basically, JP, we have a committee which is called the Skills Transfer and Transformation Committee of the bar. So what we do there, I have a committee of dedicated advocates. So we come up with ideas on how to transfer skills to the junior members of the bar. So what we do, we invite judges, especially from our division, to come and give lectures and give us talks on how to improve our skills as advocates appearing in court on a daily basis. So we've invited judges from the SCA and judges from your division, JP. We've also invited senior counsel and other junior members of the bar who to come and make presentations on certain topics. But in terms of transformation, we realized right at the beginning that most of us do not have an understanding of what transformation is or what is it to transform the bar. So we would organize talks and seminars and would have speakers to talk to us about what it means to transform the bar and to be gender sensitive. So basically that's what we're doing. We tried on a monthly basis to have a talk on a monthly basis, and I would be leading those, not necessarily giving a talk, but I would be organizing those talks, and I would go there and be physically present to make sure that things go well.
And you were part of the team that assisted during the recess to deal with appeals in criminal matters?
Unfortunately, JP, I was not, because I had finished my term of acting and I had set aside 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken, 2 weeks or a week to attend to my part head. So I was not available to assist in that regard.
And in terms of the, how did you find the acting both in Maritzburg and Durban, and do you have any preferences?
Well, JP, I must say, at the beginning, right at the beginning in 2018, when I was posted at Durban, it was daunting until my first day in motion court. By the time I was in matter number 4 of my role, I had settled comfortably. I was in control of my court. And since then, I had never looked back. I've managed all my court roles. I've managed the work that was allocated to me, and I've enjoyed each and every acting stint. And I've received overwhelming support from the judges in the KZN division and even court staff. So I've found it to be very interesting, JP.
And I'm aware that you attended the aspirant judges training sometime.
Yes, JP, I have. I think it must have been 3 years ago, but I attended the aspirant judges course here in Johannesburg.
How did you find it?
Well, because I had acted for some time, some of the concepts that were introduced there were not new to me. But I benefited a lot in terms of judgment writing and in terms of the posture of a judge, what it means to be a judge inside court and outside court. And I must say I learned new concepts And I think it was very useful, and perhaps I am able to do what I do better because I've had the benefit of attending that course.
Yes. I have not seen your name on the list of reserved judgments. Does that, how long have you been reserving judgments for?
I don't have a reserved judgment, but
No, in the ordinary list, we get a list if you've reserved more than 3 months or 6 months in the division.
yes.
So I just want to check, perhaps the question should be, what's the longest period have you reserved a judgment for?
Yes. JP, I would say the longest period would be 3 months and few days. But recently, all my judgments have been delivered within 1 month or 1 month and few weeks. And I've learned that skill from the work that I do at the Financial Sector Tribunal, because the norm there is that you issue a decision within 1 month of sitting. So I've improved from the 3 months period to at least on average, I would say, 2 months.
Thank you, CJ. That will be all.
Thank you, JP. Premier?
No, thank you, Chief Justice. No, I have no question.
Thank you. Commissioner Matolo Lepu?
Thank you, Chief Justice. Good afternoon, Advocate Jikela.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
You know, I was quite happy when you said the state attorney gave you work. At least the minister must be proud of one part of the state attorney, that is KZN. But what I wanted to find out, the type of work they actually gave.
Well, at the beginning, Commissioner, at the beginning of my career, we were kept busy with the matters like your matters from the Minister of Police. That would be the damages claims, medical negligence, and then it would be disciplinary hearings where a government employee is involved. Then as I gained experience, then I received more civil trials and motion court work. I must say my practice has been mainly motion court work, your civil court applications, both unopposed and opposed. Recently, Commissioner, I've been getting a lot of land claim matters and arbitrations from the state attorney. So they do assign to me work that is of equivalent status to the work of senior counsel. Except for what I've mentioned before, that doesn't entail commercial work.
Thank you. At least it's a vast variety of work. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Mangena?
Can I just follow up with this, unless Commissioner Mangena has a different question?
No, you can follow up.
So you see, Ms. Jikela, I always have a problem with this thing where somebody says, I don't have commercial work, and then you look at their CV, you find that they sit on the FSP. Because that is commercial work, you see. So I don't know, maybe it's an issue of like classification or what. You see, if it had been anyway, let me not be. Because I think if you had different persons sitting where you are and you ask them, do you have any commercial experience? Of course I do. You know, so.
Yeah, we know
Perhaps
that kind of person.
Perhaps I should qualify that, Commissioner Ngulaitobi, and you're quite correct. The work that I do, or that I did as a member of the Financial Sector Tribunal, yes, I was appointed because I was a practicing advocate, but I'm sitting there to adjudicate. So the commercial work that I'm referring to would be your normal, usual advocate's briefs, where I would be the one who's representing a client in court.
No, I accept that. I'm saying that You know, so far when I've been listening to you, I get the impression, okay, I don't have commercial experience, but in reality you do.
I do.
Yes, I mean,
I confirm.
yeah.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Advocate.
No, we have another follow-up, Commissioner.
Yes, I'm following up on it. I'm just helping the candidate.
Is yours a follow-up question?
No, but I wanted to start with a follow-up. No, it's fine, CJ.
Then let me allow this follow-up question.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Good afternoon, Advocate Jikela.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
I've been listening to your answers, Advocate Jikela, and I want to raise an issue with you more for the benefit of the minister than for yours. But I think it's a very stark description of the reality of Black women at the bar. If one had to remove from your growth and development at the bar the state attorney work that you received over the years, what impact would that have had on you?
Wow. I would say a great impact because throughout my years of practice, I would categorize my practice as have received about 70% of state attorney work. That has enabled me to take my children to school. That has enabled me to get a home for them, pay subscriptions, pay rental. That has enabled me to be considered by my colleagues worthy of silk status. So that's the impact of state attorney work in my practice. I don't know if I've answered your question.
You have, Advocate Jikela, and can I say that you're not the only Black woman that has had that experience? Yes. I think that's par for the course for all of us. I want to ask a second question, and that's for you to address the consequence of procurement processes on the part of the state attorney, where they limit new briefs to counsel, including Black women, one every 3 months or one every 4 months. If you can just address that.
It's sad. It's sad, and I know that there have been various attempts to challenge that through the courts of law. But the sad reality of it, and I'm going to speak for my bar, is that it seeks to close the doors completely to baby junior advocates because they do not have experience. One of the factors that you must satisfy, one of the requirements that you must satisfy in the bid documents is the experience in that particular field of law. So they are unable to bid successfully and get briefs. That's the challenge number one. Then the second challenge is that it sort of limits practitioners to specific categories of law. Because if you say in the bidding form that you have an amount of experience in administrative law, you are sure to receive more matters on administrative law and no matters on tax law because of what you've stated in your bid document. But other than that, there are other requirements that you have to provide a certificate of good standing. Some advocates, they are practicing without a certificate of good standing, not because they've been mischievous, but because they have not been able to pay their bar subscriptions. So you are caught between paying bar subscriptions and paying rental, putting fuel in your car, buying food, and taking your children to school. So it's really not a good position for advocates to find themselves in. But I understand that there are processes dealing with that. So I'm not going to go further, just in case I risk saying a lot.
And final question, Advocate Jikela, is notwithstanding all those crippling systemic obstacles to Black women at the bar, you've not only survived, but you've thrived. And the question I have for you is, why in those circumstances do you want to go to the bench and not continue to make your mark at the bar?
Yes. I've been asked this question many a times. I must say, Commissioner, I truly enjoy my life at the bar. I enjoy the work that I do at the bar, the contribution that I make. However, I believe that I can still contribute within the judiciary. I take this as the normal career development or career growth of a practicing advocate. But more than that, I believe with my experience as an advocate, with my skills in litigation, I would be able to contribute meaningfully to the KZN division. Insofar as the charitable work that I do or the transformation programs that I engage in, I can still continue to do that even if I am elevated to the bench. And one way of doing that as a judge is exactly as I had explained, by participating in the skills transfer programs of the bar.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief Justice.
Luckily, we have
Follow-up.
a black woman minister who cares about these issues. So we hope she's listening very carefully. And what is heartbreaking, I did not want to say anything about this. What is heartbreaking is that the next generation of black women advocates is suffering the same challenges I went through 25 years ago in our democracy. So that's what we're dealing with, Minister.
May I follow up, CJ, on?
Oh, yes, JP.
Yes, thank you. You're not being candid about also why you're coming. You've survived more than 3 JPs trying to convince you to come to the bench.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I've survived more than 3 JPs. And my reason has always been I want to practice as senior counsel. Can I be given an opportunity to live that dream? And then the other reason that I would give was that my children are younger. Until I ran out of reasons, the current JP was counting because I had said I would avail myself when my youngest child is 10 years old. He has turned 10 years old just last week. So I could not, change that. So I am here now.
Thank you, CJ.
Because of that.
CJ, may I ask a follow-up related to this matter? Thank you very much. Advocate, yes, I'm over here.
Oh, yes.
Advocate, just maybe to build on what Commissioner Pillay and maybe the JP and also the CJ spoken to. Apart from having the minister in the room, you also have, I think, 6 or 7 members of parliament in the room as well. And it's not exactly a legal question, but it is one in which there's one role for the minister to, in fact, there's many roles for the minister to play in opening up access. But I'm interested in your thoughts on this side of the table. Do we need to be legislating more to open up the space? Is it a matter of, do you think that's going to help the culture in terms of changing the space? What, from a policymaker's perspective, in your opinion, do you think needs to happen to open up the way for Black women in particular to not only make it, as Advocate or Commissioner Pillay has said, not only survive in the legal fraternity, and I'll say it is a fraternity, it's a club, you're either in or you're out, and what do you think needs to happen for Black women in this country to thrive in this space? Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Perhaps progressive government policies would help. I do not believe that there is a need for legislation to be enacted, because we find ourselves now as advocates in a position where we have to tender and bid and be asked to conform with the provisions of the Public Finance Management Act, something which really does not fit in with the profession of advocates. And I always fear that if the profession is overly legislated, perhaps that would compromise the independence of an advocate. And it's something that we have so far managed to jealously guard against losing the independence of advocates. So I think progressive policy, which should enable Black female advocates, or even just female advocates in general, to access more work and to be paid timeously. And I want to emphasize on the issue of timeous payments of counsel's fees, because most of us, we do get work, but we are not paid on time. So that's what I think would make our lives better. Thank you, Commissioner.
For follow-up, CJ.
Oh, sorry. The voices are disembodied in here. Commissioner Moimang?
Thank you, CJ. Good afternoon, Advocate Jikela.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
Just in terms of the recent publishing of the legal sector code by Minister Paxdown, which was done on the 11th of September this year, which clearly I suspect will have to give this intervention an opportunity by virtue of the fact that for us to be where we are, it needed a litigation. The former Minister Patel was taken to court to ensure that there is a legal sector code in terms of the BEE. Are you of the view that this code will be able to address some of the issues that challenges that you have alluded to? Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I have not had the benefit of going through the code, but I had seen it in its draft form when it was circulated amongst practitioners to comment. Though I cannot specifically take you to the specific provisions of the code, but I am aware that there are a few provisions which seeks to address the issue. I'm not so sure if they will sufficiently address the issue, but I believe it's a start towards the correct direction. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Advocate. Thank you, CJ.
It was me, Chief Justice. They took all the questions.
I'm sorry, I forgot all about you.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Advocate Jikela.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
Yeah, all questions have been taken, and I'm glad that you raised the issue of non-timeous processing of payments to advocates, because it is one thing to be allocated work and another to be paid in time. And it doesn't help to get work but not to be paid, because then you are being turned into a slave. So you need to emphasize on that point, and I did not hear you emphasizing adequately on it. But here's my question, and it relates to your children. One is 16, the other is 10. And seated here and looking at you, I asked myself if you have taken time to find out what kind of support is there in the office of the OCJ, particularly to judges, insofar as matters of mental wellness is concerned. Because given the load of the work, you may find yourself in a situation wherein the situation at home is affecting your work, but there is no support that is coming. So have you applied your mind to that aspect as well?
Thank you, Commissioner. To be quite honest, I have not made inquiries as to what programs are there. But I have had several discussions with the current JP regarding my primary role, and that is of being a parent to my children. And I fully understand that she takes that into account in each and every one of her judges, especially those of us who have young children. But more than that, as you would have seen from my CV, I decided right at the beginning of my career that I should start a family. I wanted my children to grow with my practice. And we have developed a system at home where I have support from my immediate family members and from my partner, and who is the father of the children. But more than that, I am not afraid of working long hours or heavy workload. That's what I've been doing all my life as a practicing advocate. And when I started being invited to act. So we have a system in place, but I will make inquiries as to what support is there. But so far, I have not felt the need to seek help in that regard.
Thank you. That's all, CJ.
CJ, may I just allay Commissioner Mangena's fears that when you were appointed, I think your baby was a few months when you were appointed, CJ, as a judge. But when I was appointed...
I fell pregnant on the bench. I was the first judge who ever fell pregnant on the bench in this country.
Yes, and
CJ, the issue is, did you get the support from the system and the administration?
yeah, so I'm coming to that to allay your fears. My daughter was 8 years old when I was appointed as a judge, and my son was 6 years old. I've had very understanding judges president, and I dare say I would never do otherwise, particularly for another mother. Thank you.
She would be lucky because she would be joining a judiciary led by a woman, a mother who's experienced exactly what she has, and a judge president who has lived that experience. So
Sorry, CJ, can I just follow up? Does Commissioner Mangena want to withdraw the question?
No. Not at all. It's a system issue. It's a system issue.
It's a very legitimate issue, Commissioner Mangena. I agree. Commissioners, may I just remind you that we still have 3 candidates to interview. So unless a question is absolutely necessary, I ask that we limit ourselves.
Thank you.
We've kept those people waiting for hours now. Commissioner Trolley?
Thank you, Chief Justice. I thought you'd forgotten me like Commissioner Mangena. Advocate Jikela, thanks very much for the opportunity to ask you this question. Having appreciation for what you've told us about being a black woman advocate, and considering the sentiments and comments made by Commissioner Pillay, reinforced by the JP and the CJ in this regard, I see that you had a stint in government employment in KZN, Cocta. Can you tell us about that experience? I see it was short-lived. So you left your practice and went and worked in the government for 6 months and went back Maybe you could just tell us how that came about and what resulted in the short service.
Thank you, Commissioner Chalup. At the time, I had been doing a lot of local government matters, and I was headhunted by the Department of, by COCTA, KZN, to support them in the unit, which was municipal governance. And at the time, my son was 3 months old, and my office was in Pietermaritzburg. And little did I know that that role required traveling to various municipalities within KwaZulu-Natal. The furthest that I've driven was to the border of Mpumalanga and KwaZulu-Natal. It was a day's trip. I had to drive back home and to be with my son, who was a baby at that time. And in as much as I thought, I could add value to COCTA and in turn gain some experience, because I did not have any intentions of leaving the practice of the bar permanently. It was going to be for a brief period. But unfortunately, I had to choose my family. And for that reason, I resigned within 6 months of being appointed, because there was a lot of traveling. And you would appreciate that, Commissioner, as a practicing advocate, sometimes you don't travel that much, especially when you are a senior junior, not silk. So that was the reason my stint with COCTA was brief.
Commissioner Likhanyan.
Chief Justice, I listened very attentively when you made the remark, I'm persuaded. Thanks very much, Advocate Jikela, for your fortitude and resilience. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Any questions from the virtual platform?
No.
Commissioner Breitenbach? Thank you, Commissioners. Well, that's it then, Ms. Jikela. We've reached the end of your interview. I just want to express my pride that someone who came through these hands, even if it's just in one course, has come as far as you have. Well done. No matter the results of this interview, I'm proud of you.
Thank you so much, Jay. Thank you for the opportunity.
You're excused.
Thank you.